Millions watched as men just battered their bodies in America's biggest sporting event.
Life after football is the focus of a $56 million study of thousands of former players. King 5 investigator Chris Ingalls here to explain why many big-name Seahawks players are so interested in this study.
Yeah, you guys might remember our stories from a couple of months ago when we surveyed hundreds of former Seattle Seahawks last year, and we found that many of them are suffering from their lives in football. Several of them told us that they are part of this first-of-its-kind study that's quietly taking place on the East Coast, and it could result in benefits that are bigger than football. Football. It's more than just the game that's played in front of fans that fill the seats in historic Harvard Stadium. Football is striking a note on the research side of the nation's oldest university, too, in the labs and medical centers. It's drawing some familiar faces to Harvard's campus outside Boston.
There was a lot that was attractive about the players' study at Harvard. For me, was that it was the whole body, it was the whole person.
Matt Hasselbeck, who quarterbacked the Seahawks to a Super Bowl, is one of nearly 4,000 former professional football players under evaluation in the Football Players' Health Study at Harvard.
I think what I appreciate about this study, that it's not a concussion study, it's a holistic study, and we're learning all kinds of stuff. Why are healthy guys having heart attacks? Why do so many of our players live in pain each and every day?
In the past few months alone, Hall of Fame Seahawk Cortez Kennedy died at 48 from heart disease, and 52-year-old Hawks punter Rick Tootin of a massive heart attack. Some, like Hasselbeck, seem to live normal lives.
All right.
While others, like former linebacker Greg Gaines, are racked with pain and brain damage. How football impacts each individual is what Harvard cardiologists, neurologists, and physicians are studying. Their findings could answer whether football is a game that can be played safely without dooming some players to a life of disability.
So we're here in the Orthopedic Research Laboratory at Boston Children's Hospital.
Dr. Martha Murray is part of the Harvard team.
This is an example of a knee model.
She is developing a new treatment for ACL damage, a common injury in football.
And it helps keep the knee stable to turning and twisting and bending motions.
Dr. Murray is testing this sponge-like implant that reconnects the two ends of a snapped ACL. One huge benefit is that it could reduce the lifelong joint pain that players like Greg Gaines live with after surgery.
In preclinical studies, we've found that actually stops the progression of arthritis after an injury.
At facilities like Spalding Rehab Hospital, some players are tested in person on treadmills and exercise bikes.
What we're about is the whole player, the whole life.
And examined by doctors like Ross Safanti.
This is a several-day-long process of in-depth analysis of the whole player.
Yeah.
Everything from joints to cardiac function to brain function.
But others need not make the trip to Boston.
Start walking at a normal, comfortable pace until I say stop.
Former Seahawk great Eugene Robinson showed our sister station in Charlotte an iPhone app that allows researchers to monitor his condition from afar. That app is now closed and the results are under evaluation.
I got hit so hard.
Robinson already suspects that football is behind his worsening memory loss. Was your brain injured playing professional football?
I believe it was.
Michael Jackson is one of nearly 120 former Seahawks who answered King 5's player health survey last year. Only 10% said their brain was not injured by football, 39% were not sure, and nearly half said yes, their brain was damaged by the game. What's your answer as you sit here today?
I would probably say I'm not sure, but I can also tell you that I don't have any, I have no effects right now.
He knows, he agrees, he's happy to participate.
Neurologist Alvaro Pascaleone says the Harvard study has already uncovered promising findings about protecting the brain.
How does one identify early markers at a time that you can still do something about it?
Researchers are focusing on paraneuronal nets, seen here in red, that surround one part of the brain. Damage to these nets threatens the brain cells that they hold in place. What if there was a way to monitor injuries to the nets and advise players to sit out until they heal and once again provide protection to brain cells?
We want to detect as early as possible potential risks for each individual player.
The NFL Players Association, the union, is paying for this study. So researchers here at Harvard are obviously focused on former players, but their findings are already improving the lives of people outside of football.
This looks like a torn ACL, so you can
Dr. Murray's research could one day benefit the hundreds of thousands of people per year whose active lifestyles lead to ACL injuries. Her clinical trials include 120 of those regular people, test subjects for her new ligament repair.
We feel that the technology here that's being developed as a result of the Football Players' Health Study could also go on to help a much larger audience and patient population.
What I appreciate about what the doctors are doing here, they're out to just find out the truth. And so if the truth is we need to get rid of football, then good, get rid of football. I don't think that's what we'll find out, but if that's what we find out, get rid of it. My feeling is that we're going to make the game better and safer.
Harvard is about halfway through this $56 million 7-year study, and it's still recruiting former players. One doctor told me they're especially interested in getting more Seahawks on board, and here's one reason. The Pete Carroll era ushered in a new way of tackling that avoids the head, rugby style, that researcher called it, and researchers would like to study whether Seahawks had fewer long-term injuries because of that. And you can read a lot more information from on our webpage, king5.com. So Lori and Greg, I'll toss it back to you, but there's more interesting reading on the website. People should go there. All right.